Welcome to the sphere of the 8th house, Samak-Dayib. I thought it was necessary to give an explanation video of why I use the Sidereal Zodiac over the Tropical. First, in my experience, it's more accurate for myself and for many others that I've read for and produced a horoscope. It is a better description. It's my idea from my research that the energy comes through the stars. Tropical Zodiac pins the start of Aries, 0 degrees Aries, to the equinox, the vernal equinox. So at the start of spring, Tropical Zodiac says that the sun has first entered the 0 degree mark of Aries, irrespective of the sign or the constellation that the sun appears to be in. So each spring, the constellation behind the sun that is supposed to be at 0 degrees Aries is at 25.6 degrees of Pisces. It's said that this was done in order to maintain measurement and stability. What is stable is change, is always change. In the heavens, it's all change. So to pin the sun at 0 degrees Aries from the Earth's perspective, instead of from a cosmological point of view, saying that the sun is in the sign of Pisces, becomes essentially an illusion. So there are some astrologers who are using both the tropical sign, and Western Astrology says that the sign is actually different than the constellation. So the constellation and sign are different. If you're born on September 5th like you were born in the sign of Virgo, as it said, but the star that the sun was in at that time is Leo, in the constellation of Leo. So whether it works out in a dualistic fashion, someone I spoke to, the Sidereal or Vedic philosophy, someone has described that as the internal man, and tropical as the outer or persona of a person. Persona means fake, mask. It's a mask. It's not reality. The inner person, the being, comes through the constellations and where the planets are. These are called, the Sidereal Zodiac is made up of the 12 signs that are divided into 27 smaller constellations. These are called lunar mansions in ancient texts. These lunar mansions provide a much deeper level of understanding of the nature of the planet working through that particular area in a sign or house. So when the different philosophies, Vedic, Hindu astrology has had a much better accuracy or prediction rate than tropical. For instance, in Western astrology, they've said that Jupiter has entered the sign of Libra. Well, on September 12th, Jupiter finally entered the constellation or sidereal sign of Libra in Chitra Nakshatra, which is the starting point of the sign of Libra. Now we will start to feel that Jupiterian energy and expansion in what Libra represents for each one of us. So as far as its accuracy, you can see that when a particular planet enters into a sidereal zodiac sign, the influence or effects are felt on a much deeper level. So this year, as Jupiter is transiting through Libra, Libra essentially represents relationships for all of us. It will probably be in a different house. Unless you're an Aries ascendant, it is not the seventh house. It belongs to some other area of your life. And it's the area of your life where you do form partnerships and you find your attraction, what you're attracted to. So it's essentially, we'll see these relationship issues come up over the next year, depending on the actual house that Libra represents in your horoscope. And this is why I prefer to use the Sidereal Zodiac. In ancient times, before we had radar and computer systems that told us where everything is, sailors, travelers, they traveled by the fixed stars. Reasoning for controversy in starting point of the zodiac and where the zodiac starts or begins, they said there's no actual reference point because we use every sign as we say that every sign is essentially 30 degrees, making up a 360 degree circle of 12 signs, independent signs. They're not independent. We all carry all traits of all 12 signs. We belong to the whole as individuals. So we will have strengths in certain areas where those particular planets, where planets are placed in our horoscope, what those places represent and mean, the planets represent and mean, and how they come into manifestation. I do stand and back the accuracy of the Sidereal Zodiac, the lunar mansions and the signs being pinned to these mansions. Each one of the lunar mansions is in a constellation. So to say that the signs are independent of the constellation regardless of the sign and the way we divide it, in the Vedas they use the star of Chitra, which represents the star of the sign of Libra. There is no star 180 degree opposite to cause a division. You set a straight line from your point on Earth to the star of Chitra and then divide 30 degrees from there. But there's no straight line to the back, to the house behind it, or to a star behind it. The Steiner College, Rudolf Steiner Esoteric College, their study of astrology has divided the sky by the fixed points in Scorpio and in Taurus. There's two fixed stars that are exactly 180 degrees apart. This forms the straight line between the 8th house and the 2nd house. 45 degrees from that star in Taurus is the start of Aries. I'll show some diagrams here, some pictures, some images, so you can see that in 215 AD, the sun was at the beginning of Aries, as was recorded in the Tetrabiblios, which all Western astrology finds its roots. Western astrology does not find its roots in the Vedas, which say that the constellations and the sun retrogrades and moves backwards through the constellations. This is an esoteric understanding of astrology and is not utilized in Western astrology, and it should be. Western astrology has developed the things like aspects that the Vedas and Hindu astrology doesn't use. Hindu astrology doesn't utilize the outer planets, Neptune, Mars, Pluto, and Uranus. Those are kept separate as generational as generational planets, and they don't really have an individual impact. However, I do feel that they do have an individual impact, because even as part of a generation, that planet is working through a particular sign and area in our life. What we can say is that we are part of it all. My understanding is to not follow any one particular way, but utilize what works in astrology. I believe that the aspects that were developed, the squares, the trines, the sextiles, the oppositions, and these things are important, that are utilized in Western astrology. But Western astrology is very much missing some very important aspects that are utilized and have been developed to a great degree in the Hindu tradition of astrology and their practice of prediction and how things come to manifest themselves. That's why I choose to use the Sidereal Zodiac, equal houses, full sign houses, as opposed to some ideas of Western where a 10th house might be 45 degrees, and it doesn't make sense to me. 2 signs and all of this. We are all 12 signs, all 12 energies coming together in one point. The sun is never really in any one sign. It is in all signs and permeates its light into all 12 areas of our life. It's only perceived to be situated in a specific sign in a specific house. So it is all a matter of an illusion and our perception. But to the greater degree, we are in all, and all is in us. How we work it together and form who we are is based on specific areas of where energy is influencing and where it brings us to through this incarnation, and what we're ready to receive and what we're not ready to receive. If you want to hold on to a persona that you've been fed since a child, because everybody said if you were born on September 5th, you're a Virgo, and not accept the responsibility and role of a Leo just because you prefer not to, or because the horoscope Western astrologers cast paint you in a better picture than what a Vedic or a Hindu interpretation would say. This, I believe, creates a shadow within ourselves of dividing the two and not integrating with our higher self what's beyond and where our energy really comes from and where it's supposed to go. So I'll close with that and just leave it. If you follow Western astrology, you do owe yourself a favor to find out what a Hindu or a Vedic horoscope has to say and what enlightenment, what light it does have to offer you. So even if you're not willing to accept it, it's another point of view that one should approach and try to get a fuller understanding of yourself, without really saying, oh, what one's right, one's wrong, and I just want to believe this one. It is what it is, really. One works better than the other in my experience, and that's sidereal. It provides a deeper insight to the internal nature of a man, of a person, of you. And whether we're ready to receive that nature or that true nature of ourselves based upon our egoic identity of what we thought we were for all of our lives, and we're not this physical body. This body dies and we still go somewhere. We come back. We have our memory in some ways we don't. We forget it. But in all spirituality, life doesn't end. This body does. So what is sustaining is called Narayana, and it is another name for Vishnu, the sustainer. and that is the stars. The stars sustain life here on Earth and continue to bring energy of love and life into this world, and we're just caught in confusion here, and that's our problem. Well, I'll close with that. I'll check you out next time. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do. If you want to read and check me out, 8thhousetarot.com. All right, peace.